What truly matters? Facing death to find meaning. Introduction. You will die. It is a stark pronouncement, almost brutal in its simplicity, yet it is the most unvarnished truth with which we can commence. It is the ultimate democratizer, the final, irrevocable act for each and every one of us, irrespective of our standing, our deeds, or the clamor we generate in the world. So much of our existence is spent in a deliberate denial of its approach, a frantic immersion in ceaseless endeavors, a pursuit of ephemeral gratifications, and the erection of elaborate edifices of distraction. We populate our days with activities that masquerade as significant, but when the din subsides, how much of it truly withstands the cold, unyielding gaze of our own cessation? This truth, this absolute finality, is not intended as a harbinger of despair, but rather as a potent, albeit unsettling, lens through which to finally discern what holds genuine import. When we cease our flight from the inevitable, we begin to perceive the hushed intimations of that which possesses authentic, enduring worth. Cast your gaze upon the world we have so assiduously constructed. We are perpetually assailed by messages that equate happiness with accumulation. More digital affirmations, a larger audience, an ever-increasing inventory of possessions, the adulation of strangers. We navigate an unending stream of curated highlight reels, invariably measuring our own lives against these polished facades, often resulting in a knowing sense of inadequacy, a perpetual feeling of falling short. This unremitting quest for external validation is an exhausting endeavor, a treadmill that accelerates relentlessly yet propels us nowhere of true consequence. We indoctrinate ourselves into believing that the acquisition of the latest technological marvels or the attainment of a particular social stratum will usher in contentment, but these pursuits are as insubstantial as sand sifting through one's fingers. They proffer fulfillment, yet deliver only fleeting diversion. We become so utterly consumed by the performance of living that we neglect to truly live. We are busy, undeniably so, but are we genuinely engaged with life itself? Or are we merely adept at evading the profound questions by filling every available moment with anything, absolutely anything, else? Yet, beneath the veneer of this modern freneticism lies a deeper, more resonant verity. It is the quiet apprehension that while the world clamors for our attention from 1,000 divergent points, only a select few elements in life are ever truly deserving of our finite energy. This is the very core of what we shall undertake to explore, the principle of essential focus. Essential focus is the deliberate and courageous act of identifying, prioritizing, and dedicating our circumscribed time and vigor to that handful of fundamental components that bestow authentic meaning, profound connection, and lasting fulfillment, particularly when contemplated through the prism of our transient existence. It is not an exhortation for a life of material austerity, but rather a prescription for a life pared down, in terms of what we permit to occupy our precious mental and emotional landscape. It signifies a resolute refusal of the incessant barrage of superficial demands and a wholehearted embrace of the deep, resonant connections and purposes that nourish our innermost being. It is the conscious election of depth over expansiveness, substance over ostentation. This discerning focus is not born of a deficiency of aspiration, but from a profound comprehension that our temporal allotment is finite and consequently, our energy must be invested with wisdom. This undertaking necessitates more than mere intellectual apprehension. It demands unflinching emotional candor. It compels us to look beyond the facile answers and confront the disquieting realities of our own lives and inherent limitations. It is about recognizing that true felicity is not cultivated through the amassing of more, but through the appreciation of what we already possess and the nurturing of those relationships and experiences that genuinely enrich us. It entails understanding that our legacy is not inscribed in the number of our followers, but in the magnitude of the love we extend, the compassion we exhibit, and the unwavering integrity with which we navigate our days. As we progress through these pages, we shall meticulously dissect how to identify these essential elements within the tapestry of our own lives. We will investigate how confronting our mortality, not with trepidation, but with crystalline clarity, can transmute into the most formidable instrument for cleaving through the pervasive clutter and illuminating that which possesses enduring value. This is not a compendium of platitudes or facile remedies. It is an earnest invitation to a more profound, more authentic mode of existence. It is a clarion call to transform the unavoidable truth of our conclusion into the potent catalyst for a life imbued with purpose and profound meaning. By facing the end, we can, in truth, begin to live. Chapter 1. Understanding Life's Priorities. 1. Facing the end. Embracing mortality. We traverse existence cloaked in a peculiar blindness, a ceaseless murmur of someday echoing in our ears. Someday we shall embark on that distant journey, someday we shall confess the depths of our hearts, someday we shall finally dedicate ourselves to what truly matters. This ubiquitous someday is a comforting artifice, a soft shroud we draw around ourselves to ward off the sharp edges of reality. And the keenest edge of all, the one we most assiduously evade, is the stark, irrefutable truth of our own cessation. But what if this ending, this perceived finality, is not an adversary to be vanquished or a truth to be sidestepped? What if it is, in fact, the most potent preceptor we shall ever encounter? When we permit ourselves, unreservedly, to gaze upon the horizon of our lives, to acknowledge that the sun will inevitably descend upon our days, something extraordinary transpires. The clamorous din of the world begins to recede. The interminable rosters of tasks, the incessant demands of the digital sphere, the insatiable clamor for more possessions, more acclaim, more of everything, it all begins to sound faintly hollow. This is mortality at its work, not as a somber specter, but as the ultimate arbiter of clarity. It is the unvarnished, undeniable verity that strips away the inconsequential and, with a gentle yet firm hand, directs our gaze toward the essential. Consider it. When your health is genuinely imperiled, or when a cherished confidant or family member confronts a grave malady, what suddenly assumes paramount importance? Seldom is it the magnitude of your online following or the latest technological trinket you acquired. It is the quietude of shared moments, the resonance of mutual laughter, the unspoken understanding, the opportunity to utter "I love you" or "I am sorry." It is the people, the experiences, the emotions that truly reverberate. Mortality possesses a singular capacity to cleave through the detritus of our daily lives. It functions as a potent lens, which, when precisely calibrated, renders the blurred background sharp and illuminates what truly resides in the foreground. This is not an invitation to wallow in melancholy. It is an embrace of a profound discernment that enables us to perceive the genuine treasures we might otherwise overlook. This phantom of ample time is one of the most insidious snares into which we fall. We harbor a deep-seated conviction that tomorrows are an inexhaustible resource. This belief permits us to postpone living, to defer joy, to procrastinate vital yet arduous conversations. We assure ourselves we are too occupied now for what genuinely matters, that we shall attend to it later, when circumstances are more settled or when we have attained some external benchmark of success. Yet life rarely grants us such convenient interludes. It proceeds relentlessly, and our precious, finite days slip through our grasp like grains of sand. To embrace mortality is to shatter this illusion. It is to awaken to the realization that this instant, this day, is all that is assured. This comprehension is not intended to incite panic, but to instill a salutary sense of urgency. It is the impetus that can finally propel us to act upon what we intrinsically know to be important, rather than allowing it to languish, forgotten, in the attic of our future aspirations. Observe the common inclination to pursue that which offers only ephemeral gratification. We scroll through social media, juxtaposing our lives against meticulously curated highlight reels, soliciting validation through likes and comments. We chase promotions, accumulating more possessions, under the misguided notion that these external accomplishments will somehow assuage an inner void. However, when we genuinely begin to contemplate our eventual end, these pursuits frequently lose their allure. We might pose the question, if this were my final week, would I be expending my hours crafting the perfect online post? Would I be agitated by a minor professional setback? Or would I be seeking out those who imbue my spirit with warmth, engaging in activities that ignite genuine delight, or simply existing within the quiet splendor of the world around me? This mental exercise, this unvarnished confrontation with our own transience, is not born of fear. It is an act of learning. It is an endeavor to comprehend what we truly cherish by imagining its absence. It unveils our deepest values, not by dictating them, but by revealing what we would desperately wish to have possessed, accomplished, or articulated had our time been abruptly curtailed. This is the profound lesson that death can impart concerning value. The dread of demise is a formidable emotion, and it is an entirely natural one. Yet, if we permit that fear to render us inert, it can, paradoxically, steer us away from a life imbued with richness and meaning. Rather than prompting a reevaluation of our priorities, an unaddressed fear of death can compel us to cling even more tenaciously to superficial pursuits. We may labor more assiduously, chase more wealth, or seek greater diversions to evade confronting the disquieting truth of our own impermanence. This constitutes a life lived in retrograde, perpetually glancing over our shoulder at the conclusion, rather than fully inhabiting the present. It is an existence where we attempt to outrun the inevitable, and in doing so we forfeit the beauty of the journey. We become so fixated on the destination, or rather, the avoidance of the ultimate destination, that we neglect to truly live en route. This fear can cause us to cling to the familiar, even if it is unfulfilling, because the unknown future, and its eventual terminus, feels too formidable to confront. However, when we transcend this apprehension and begin to embrace our mortality, the metamorphosis is profound. It transcends mere intellectual assent. It is a deep, visceral comprehension that initiates a tangible shift in our perspective and our conduct. We cease deferring joy. We commence allocating time to those who matter most, not because we possess an abundance of time, but because we apprehend its precious scarcity. We may find ourselves uttering yes to spontaneous adventures and no to obligations that deplete our energy without yielding commensurate value. We might cultivate a greater capacity for forgiveness, both toward ourselves and others, recognizing that each individual navigates their own unique trajectory, confronting their own distinct challenges and limitations. We may begin to prioritize experiences over possessions, profound dialogues over superficial pleasantries, and inner tranquility over external validation. This transition is not about succumbing to morbidity or recklessness. It is about cultivating greater intentionality, presence, and, ultimately, a more vibrant aliveness. It is about shedding the oppressive burden of superficial pursuits that society often champions as paramount, but which, in the face of our finite existence, reveal themselves as mere distractions. We commence questioning the relentless imperative to achieve, to acquire, to perform, and instead, we ask ourselves, what truly nourishes my spirit? What leaves an enduring, positive imprint on the world, however modest? What bestows upon me genuine peace? This process of embracing mortality liberates us from the unremitting pursuit of that which fails to contribute to our fundamental well-being or our lasting legacy. It bestows upon us the fortitude to challenge societal dictates that insist upon our need for more, to be more, to do more solely for the sake of accumulation. It frees us from personal habits that drain our energy and attention without offering authentic fulfillment. When we comprehend that our time is circumscribed, we naturally begin to filter out the extraneous noise. We realize that chasing perpetual validation on social media, amassing material possessions that will eventually be forgotten, or striving for an approval that is capricious and fleeting, are all stratagems for evading the deeper, more meaningful work of living a life consonant with our true values. This is where the principle of essential focus truly begins to take root. It germinates from the honest, at times uncomfortable, realization that our time is finite, and consequently, we must exercise extraordinary selectivity in where we invest our precious energy and attention. We cannot accomplish everything, and attempting to do so results in a life spread too thinly, lacking depth and genuine impact. Once we commence to truly internalize the profound lesson of our finitude, the cacophony of the world often subsides, revealing not an emptiness, but a clearer signal of that which genuinely warrants our precious, limited attention. This newfound clarity then beckons us to actively identify and cultivate these essential elements, leading us to the next crucial juncture, discerning with precision what those few, vital things truly are. 2. What really counts. Shifting priorities. We dedicate so much of our existence to the pursuit of ephemeral desires, those glittering baubles that, in moments of profound stillness, we recognize as ultimately inconsequential. It is akin to the Sisyphean struggle on a treadmill, a relentless acceleration that yields no forward progress. Society conditions us to equate success with accumulation, a larger bank balance, a more expansive dwelling, a greater tally of digital approbation, a more ostentatious conveyance. These luminous enticements are ubiquitous, their allure amplified by a constant, subtle pressure to attain them. The pervasive mantra of more is better insinuates itself into our consciousness, a persistent whisper suggesting our inherent inadequacy unless we possess the next coveted acquisition. Consider this: when a minor triumph graces our path, a promotion, a new technological marvel, a fleeting euphoria ensues, does it not? Yet, this effervescence is ephemeral. Before long, our gaze is fixed upon the subsequent victory, the next acquisition destined to assuage that elusive void. This ceaseless pursuit leaves us depleted, paradoxically hollowed. We become so engrossed in the acquisition of possessions and accolades that we neglect the very essence of living. We cultivate expertise in collecting, but atrophy in the art of experiencing. This perpetual yearning for more serves as a potent diversion, siphoning our attention from the profound, unadorned joys that truly nourish the soul. It is a meticulously constructed illusion, and the more readily we succumb to its enchantment, the further we drift from that which possesses genuine worth. But what if an alternative trajectory existed? What if, rather than pursuing a perpetually receding horizon, we could pause unfettered and survey the landscape of what is already present, what is truly precious? Herein lies the transformative power of comprehending the finite nature of our temporal existence. The contemplation of mortality, not as a harbinger of dread, but as an irrefutable verity, functions as a keen, unblemished blade. It cleaves through the cacophony of distractions, the detritus of superfluous desires, the dictates of what we believe we ought to covet. When we truly confront the inexorable truth that our days are numbered, the trivialities begin to recede. The desperate craving for external validation, the gnawing anxiety of public opinion, the insatiable quest for material possessions, all relinquish their dominion. They diminish in significance when juxtaposed against the immeasurable expanse of eternity into which we shall ultimately merge. This is not an exercise in morbid rumination. It is an endeavor to attain lucidity. Envision yourself adrift in a mountain mist, visibility severely curtailed, the terrain rendered ambiguous. Suddenly, the fog momentarily dissipates. The path becomes unequivocally clear, the vistas breathtaking, and your destination precisely discernible. Confronting our mortality can precipitate such a revelation. It illuminates what truly holds import. Individuals who have navigated severe illness or brushed against the precipice of death frequently articulate a profound recalibration. Their pronouncements often echo sentiments such as, "I wish I had dedicated more time to my family," or "I regret not pursuing my passions instead of solely focusing on my career." These are not lamentations. They are profound insights forged in the crucible of confronting ultimate finitude. They are the truths that society endeavors to suppress. If, then, death is the supreme clarifier, what truths does it unveil? It reveals that life's genuine richness is not found in an extensive catalogue of accomplishments or an opulent hoard of possessions. It resides within a select constellation of elements that possess profound, enduring significance. This is the core of what we term essential focus. It is the principle of zeroing in on the minuscule fraction of endeavors that truly matter and directing our energy and attention toward them. These are not fleeting gratifications or superficial aspirations. They are the foundational pillars upon which a meaningful existence is constructed. What constitutes these pillars? They invariably pertain to the quality of our interpersonal connections. Reflect upon the individuals who have profoundly shaped your life. It is unlikely to be the purveyor of the most extravagant gift, but rather the one who offered a receptive ear, a comforting embrace, or a shared moment of levity. Profound bonds with family, friends, and loved ones form the intricate tapestry of a rich life. Then there is personal integrity, adhering to one's deepest values, acting with honesty and authenticity. Furthermore, there is the concept of making a meaningful contribution, leaving the world demonstrably improved through one's endeavors, be it through professional pursuits, personal actions, or simple acts of benevolence. Finally, there is inner peace, a serene contentment that emanates from within, independent of external circumstances. These are not commodities to be purchased or endlessly amassed. They are cultivated, nurtured, and deeply felt. The discernment of these few things is not always facile. Society possesses a peculiar knack for convincing us that a frenetic schedule, an overflowing inbox, and an extensive curriculum vitae are indicative of a life well lived. We may experience a twinge of envy observing the seemingly idyllic online personas of others, or succumb to the pressure of conforming to prevailing trends and expectations. This is where the arduous work of emotional recalibration commences. The reordering of priorities is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is an arduous emotional odyssey. It demands the courage to decline distractions and embrace that which truly resonates. One of the most formidable obstacles is the fear of missing out, or FOMO. We harbor anxieties that by eschewing the pursuit of myriad opportunities, we might forfeit some extraordinary experience. Yet, the stark reality is that in chasing everything, we frequently forfeit the most vital elements. We dilute our essence. We may physically occupy a social gathering, yet our minds remain tethered elsewhere, preoccupied with professional concerns or engrossed in the digital ether. We may be in the company of our families, yet our attention is irrevocably divided. Essential focus necessitates the acceptance that one cannot possess all things, and this acceptance is not merely permissible, it is profoundly liberating. It empowers us to invest deeply in those pursuits that will yield enduring fulfillment. This paradigm shift also mandates an unflinching emotional honesty. We must confront our authentic desires, unvarnished by societal conditioning. It requires us to peer beyond the superficial allure of conventional success and examine what lies beneath. Are we seeking external validation, or are we yearning for genuine connection? Is our pursuit of affluence driven by a need for security, or by a desire for status? Grappling with these inquiries can be discomforting. It may necessitate the admission that certain long-held aspirations are, in fact, superficial. It may compel us to relinquish ingrained habits and convictions that no longer serve our highest good. This is where emotional profundity truly manifests. It involves a willingness to endure the discomfort, the vulnerability, and the inherent uncertainty that accompanies significant transformation. Consider the narrative of Sarah. For years, Sarah epitomized the archetype of contemporary success. Her days were a relentless cascade of commitments. She would rise before dawn for her gym regimen, then hasten to her demanding marketing role. Lunch was typically a perfunctory affair at her desk, punctuated by email responses and perusal of industry updates. Evenings were a blur of networking functions, advanced professional development courses, and the obligatory social media check-ins to gauge the activities of her peers. Her domicile was adorned with the latest technological accoutrements and fashionable furnishings, a testament to her arduous labor. She commanded a prestigious career, cultivated a stylish existence, and meticulously curated her online persona. Yet, beneath this veneer of accomplishment, Sarah was plagued by a persistent, gnawing emptiness. She would often find herself adrift in a sea of digital content, scrolling interminably, experiencing a peculiar admixture of anxiety and ennui. Though connected to hundreds, even thousands online, she felt profoundly isolated. Then her father succumbed to a grave illness. Abruptly, Sarah's world underwent a seismic shift. The pressing deadlines, the social engagements, the ephemeral trends, all receded into a realm of utter insignificance. She spent weeks at her father's bedside, holding his hand, absorbing his narratives, and simply being present. In those hushed hours, divested of all customary distractions, Sarah perceived her life through an entirely new lens. She recognized the prodigious quantity of time she had squandered in the pursuit of inconsequential matters, and the paucity of her investment in the welfare of her loved ones. She grasped the immeasurable value of a shared memory, a comforting presence, a simple exchange of words. Upon her father's passing, Sarah did not readily revert to her former existence. The experience had fundamentally reoriented her perspective. She understood that the more she had relentlessly pursued was merely an illusion. She resigned from her high-octane marketing position, a decision that elicited consternation among her acquaintances and colleagues. Instead, she accepted a part-time role at a local animal sanctuary, a long-cherished aspiration that she had previously dismissed as impractical. She began dedicating her evenings and weekends to her mother, rekindling dormant friendships, and rediscovering neglected pastimes, such as painting. Her living space underwent a transformation, becoming imbued with objects of sentimental resonance rather than transient fashionability. Her social media presence diminished precipitously. Some observers deemed her a failure, convinced she had squandered her potential. Yet, Sarah experienced a profound sense of serenity she had never before encountered. She was no longer engaged in the pursuit of an unending catalog of achievements. Her focus had narrowed to a select few elements that held genuine significance: her relationships, her personal well-being, and the cultivation of joy through simple acts of compassion. She had internalized the profound truth that life's most precious assets are not tangible possessions, but rather the shared moments, the reciprocal flow of love, and the quiet contentment derived from living in alignment with one's deepest values. By conventional metrics, her life might appear less outwardly successful, yet it was immeasurably richer, deeper, and imbued with a more profound sense of purpose. What societal narratives propel us toward this seductive illusion of more? Consider the pervasive influence of advertising, which incessantly asserts that their products are indispensable for happiness or completeness. Observe the media, which frequently lionizes the lives of the affluent and celebrated, presenting their lifestyles as the ultimate aspiration. Even our friends and family, often with the noblest intentions, may inquire about our career trajectories or recent acquisitions, thereby reinforcing the notion that these represent the benchmarks of a flourishing existence. We are assailed by a barrage of messages that equate external accomplishments with intrinsic worth. This constitutes a formidable current, and navigating against it demands a conscious and sustained effort. The initial step involves recognizing these pervasive influences. Be attuned to the moments when you feel an inexplicable urge to purchase something superfluous, or when you experience a sense of inadequacy due to your life's perceived disparity from others' online portrayals. These are the junctures at which to pause and pose the critical question: is this truly significant to me, or is it a societal dictate dictating what I should desire? Beyond abstract concepts such as love and happiness, what are the concrete, actionable adjustments we can implement? Once we have identified our few things, the subsequent imperative is to translate that understanding into the fabric of our daily lives. If profound relationships constitute a priority, it necessitates allocating time for those you cherish, irrespective of your schedule's demands. It entails setting aside your device when engaged in conversation, actively listening, and demonstrating genuine interest. It may involve orchestrating regular communications or visits with loved ones residing at a distance. If personal integrity is paramount, it requires making choices that resonate with your values, even when confronted with adversity. It might entail voicing dissent when witnessing injustice, or declining opportunities that compromise your principles. If contributing meaningfully is a driving force, it involves discovering avenues to leverage your skills and talents in service of others, whether through volunteerism, mentorship, or simply offering support to those in your immediate vicinity. It can be as elemental as being a considerate neighbor or a supportive colleague. If inner peace is your central focus, it entails carving out dedicated periods for activities that quiet the mind and nourish the spirit. Meditation, communion with nature, intellectual engagement through reading, or simply moments of quiet contemplation. It is about cultivating habits that reinforce your core values, rather than succumbing to those that serve as distractions. It is about making deliberate choices, day by day, that steer you toward that which truly matters. 3. The quest for self-worth. The world incessantly whispers and often bellows the imperative to be special. This relentless message, amplified by the luminous screens we carry, bombards us. Each scroll through social media unfurls a pageant of individuals seemingly possessing all: idyllic holidays, thriving careers, effortless allure, and an unending retinue of adoring companions. We are schooled to distinguish ourselves, to be unique, to achieve the remarkable. To fall short, to be merely ordinary, is to risk inadequacy. This pressure to excel breeds a profound disquiet, a gnawing sensation of lagging behind, of being a subordinate in life's grand tournament. This ceaseless urging to be more, to be better, to be perceived as more, frequently steers us onto a labyrinthine quest for self-validation. We begin to solicit external approval. Our worth, we come to believe, is quantified by acquisitions or displays: the digital applause for a photograph, the prestigious appellation on a business card, the dimensions of our dwelling, the emblem on our automobile, or simply the nods of assent from acquaintances. These external metrics become the arbiters of our self-assessment. Yet, the stark reality is this: these are precarious foundations for something as vital as our sense of value. They are akin to erecting a domicile upon shifting sands. The likes can evaporate overnight, a position can be forfeited, possessions can be damaged or pilfered, and the opinions of others are as mutable as the wind. When our worth is tethered to these ephemeral elements, we exist in a perpetual state of apprehension, forever fearing that loss of what we possess or the deficit in what others appear to command. This pursuit of external affirmation is a treadmill. One may run ceaselessly, yet never truly reach a haven of enduring tranquility or acceptance. This unremitting pursuit of more stems directly from the conviction that we are insufficient as we are. We covet superior vocations, not solely for remuneration, but for the prestige they confer. We embark on dietary regimens, not merely for health, but for the approbation that accompanies a particular physique. We acquire more possessions, hoping they will assuage an internal void. However, these acquisitions, however alluring, rarely furnish the profound contentment we yearn for. They are diversions, siphoning our attention from the scant few elements that genuinely matter. Time and vitality that could be devoted to cultivating meaningful relationships, exploring our passions, or simply inhabiting our lives are instead consumed by the taxing endeavor of maintaining appearances and amassing superficial markers of achievement. We become so preoccupied with projecting worth that we neglect to cultivate the feeling of worth from within. And what lies at the core of this frenzied pursuit? What are we truly endeavoring to outrun? It is the quiet, persistent recognition that our tenure here is finite. The contemplation of our own cessation, the ultimate conclusion, can be profoundly disquieting. Thus, we construct grand edifices of accomplishment, inundate our existences with clamor and activity, and incessantly seek validation, all in an unconscious effort to forge something that feels enduring, something that will somehow render us immortal or leave an indelible imprint. We strive to demonstrate our worth with such ferocity, such vociferousness, because we dread that without this evidence, our existence might feel inconsequential once it has concluded. But this is a futile race. True worth resides not in erecting a monument destined for perpetuity. It resides in the quality of the life we inhabit presently, the depth of our connections, and the focus we accord the select few elements that genuinely resonate with our souls. This persistent striving for external validation, amplified by the echo chamber of contemporary culture, engenders a perpetual state of not enough. Social media, in particular, functions as a potent catalyst for this sentiment. It proffers a curated, often idealized, highlight reel of others' lives, rendering our own quotidian experiences comparatively lackluster or deficient. We witness the pristine vacation photographs, the triumphant career announcements, the seemingly effortless relationships, and we compare. This comparison is a thief of joy and a destroyer of contentment. It informs us that our present lives, our present selves, are not quite adequate, that we must achieve more, acquire more, or present a more polished iteration of ourselves to merit admiration or even self-acceptance. This cultivates a cycle wherein we perpetually endeavor to meet an ever-receding target, ceaselessly seeking external approbation to fill an internal void that external validation can never truly assuage. The more we pursue likes, followers, and accolades, the more we anchor our sense of self to external forces beyond our dominion, rendering us vulnerable to the caprices of public opinion and the perpetually shifting currents of the digital realm. This outward orientation represents a significant diversion from identifying and nurturing the scant few elements in life that possess genuine, intrinsic value and contribute to a lasting sense of self-acceptance. The hours expended in crafting the perfect post, the anxiety surrounding its reception, the incessant monitoring of notifications, these are hours and energy diverted from authentic connection, from quiet introspection, from the simple act of being present with loved ones, or from pursuing a skill or interest solely for the intrinsic pleasure it affords. These are the pursuits that forge a resilient, internal sense of worth, independent of external applause. The illusion of external validation is a potent snare. We perceive success as quantified by salary, by promotions, by the acreage of our residences, and we internalize these as the definitive measures of our value. A promotion elicits satisfaction, certainly, but does it fundamentally alter your essence or your inherent worth as a human being? A more expansive dwelling may offer comfort, but does it bestow genuine felicity if it is suffused with solitude or stress? These markers are frequently superficial. They may impress others, but they do not invariably translate into profound, internal peace or a deep-seated sense of self-acceptance. When our self-worth is contingent upon these external factors, it becomes exceedingly fragile. The loss of a position can shatter our sense of identity. A critical remark can precipitate a spiral of self-doubt. The wealth or possessions we amass can be lost, leaving us feeling hollow and worthless. This is because these elements are not truly us. They are possessions we hold or positions we occupy, but they do not define our fundamental being. The transcript rightly observes that the accumulation of wealth or possessions does not guarantee authentic happiness or familial affection. These deeper human necessities are satisfied through connection, benevolence, and shared experience, not through material accretion. The quest for self-worth through these external avenues is a distraction from the genuine work of forging meaningful relationships and contributing to the welfare of others. The cost of the mortality is immense, not merely in financial outlay, but in the depletion of our most precious resources, time and energy. We are conditioned to believe that perpetual improvement and acquisition are the pathways to happiness and worth. This leads to a life spent pursuing a horizon that perpetually recedes. We desire a more refined automobile than a newer model. We yearn for a larger domicile than a more desirable locale. We seek greater recognition at work than a higher echelon. This unending cycle of wanting more is a direct consequence of a self-worth that is not anchored in an internal sense of sufficiency. It diverts us from the profound satisfaction that can be discovered in appreciating what we possess, in nurturing the relationships we cherish, and in dedicating ourselves to a select few pursuits that yield genuine significance. The transcript's assertion that many commonly pursued objectives, such as more desirable jobs or dietary regimens, are ultimately unfulfilling, speaks to this. We invest so much effort, so much emotional capital into these aims, only to discover that once attained, they fail to deliver the enduring felicity or sense of worth we anticipated. They are frequently mere stepping stones to the subsequent desire, perpetuating the cycle of striving. This chase consumes us, leaving scant room for the quiet contemplation requisite to apprehend what truly matters. This frenetic, often unconscious, quest for self-worth is inextricably linked to our apprehension of mortality. The notion of death, of our existence simply ceasing, can be terrifying. It challenges our deeply ingrained desire to be significant, to leave an imprint, to matter. So, what do? We endeavor to construct a legacy, not through quiet acts of compassion or profound personal connections, but through ostensible achievements. Through the accumulation of status, through being undeniably special. We believe that if we can demonstrate our worth to that world, if we can achieve enough, acquire enough, or be admired enough, then perhaps our lives will have exerted an undeniable influence, a lasting significance that somehow transcends the finality of death. We are, in essence, attempting to outrun the inevitable by rendering ourselves so conspicuous, so accomplished, that we feel we cannot possibly be forgotten or deemed insignificant. But this is a fundamentally flawed approach. True worth is not discovered in the permanence of our achievements or the grandeur of our legacy, but in the depth and quality of our engagement with life, with others, and with ourselves during our finite time. It is about living fully, authentically, and with a clear focus on what truly matters rather than attempting to erect a bulwark against the inevitable. Having recognized the often hollow nature of externally derived self-worth and the exhausting diversions it engenders, we must now direct our attention inward. This is not about reciting platitudes or engaging in superficial self-improvement exercises. It is about confronting the deeper, often uncomfortable, truths that reside at the core of our being. It is about understanding that our intrinsic value is not measured by what we accumulate or how we are perceived by others, but by the clarity of our focus and the profundity of our commitment to the select few elements that, in the face of our mortality, genuinely warrant our unwavering attention and emotional investment. This is the pathway to discovering a more resilient, authentic, and profoundly satisfying sense of self, one that is not beholden to the shifting sands of external validation. 4. Beyond the surface. Social media's illusions. Our world is a cacophony. It clamors through luminous screens and an unending torrent of feeds, pledging connection, triumph, and contentment. Yet, more often than not, it peddles an illusion. Consider the realm of social media. It purports to be a space for communion with friends, a window into their lives, and a platform for broadcasting our own. It whispers promises of alleviating loneliness, of bestowing a sense of belonging, and for a fleeting instant, a brief surge of approbation alike, a positive comment can feel remarkably good. It's akin to a perfunctory pat on the back, a subtle nod that murmurs, "You are perceived. You are adequate." But let us confront this candidly. Is this truly connection? Or is it a pale, attenuated imitation? Genuine connection, the kind that nourishes the spirit and fosters profound understanding, demands time, earnest effort, and an embrace of vulnerability. It resides in the hushed exchanges, the comfortable silences, the eloquent glances. Social media frequently bestows the sensation of connection, but it is a transient effervescence, much like a sugar rush that rapidly dissipates, leaving a lingering craving. This incessant pursuit of ephemeral digital affirmations, likes, shares, comments constitutes a formidable diversion. It siphons our vitality, our concentration, and our emotional reserves away from the individuals and experiences capable of offering something enduring. We find ourselves investing more in the performance of connection than in its intrinsic substance. This trajectory ushers us into another snare, the trap of comparison. We navigate feeds replete with idyllic vacations, monumental achievements, and unblemished smiles. Everyone appears to be orchestrating their magnum opus, a life demonstrably more luminous, exhilarating, and successful than our own. It is facile to overlook that what unfolds before us is a meticulously curated highlight reel. These are the zenith moments, artfully edited and filtered, presented as the quotidian reality. No one broadcasts images of their disheveled kitchen floors, their regrettable hair days, or their internal skirmishes with doubt and tribulation. When we are perpetually assailed by these idealized life narratives, it is only natural to begin perceiving ourselves as wanting. We commence to feel deficient, as though we are not accomplishing enough, not attaining enough, not being enough. This manufactured discontent fuels an urgent imperative to keep pace, to relentlessly pursue more possessions, more accolades, more affirmation merely to feel that we measure up. It is a treadmill of inadequacy, with social media serving as the engine that propels its ceaseless rotation. Moreover, social media possesses an uncanny ability to transmute our existence into mere content. Every experience, every repast, every excursion becomes an occasion to fashion a post, to disseminate it to the world, and to procure that minuscule jolt of external validation. We commence living for the photograph, for the caption, for the likes. The locus of attention pivots from the authentic apprehension of a moment to its theatrical presentation for an audience. The rapture of a resplendent sunset is not solely in its celestial artistry, it is in capturing the impeccable shot, applying the judicious filter, and observing the extent of its reception. This commodification of our experiences diminishes their inherent worth. It strips them of their intrinsic value, recasting them as currency for social capital. The moments that truly resonate, those that sculpt our identities and imbue our lives with depth, are frequently the quiet, private ones, the unshared, unjudged interstices. When we prioritize broadcasting over authentic being, we sever our connection to the intrinsic merit of our own lives. The sheer immensity of information and stimulation inundating social media is profoundly disorienting. Notifications chime incessantly, demanding our immediate heed. Ephemeral trends erupt and vanish with startling rapidity. The infinite scroll unfurls a ceaseless cascade of diversions, from amusing vignettes to urgent dispatches. This relentless barrage devours our temporal resources and our cognitive faculties. It is akin to attempting a profound dialogue amidst a boisterous revelry. Our minds become so fragmented, so drawn in myriad directions, that sustained focus on what truly matters becomes an almost insurmountable challenge. We are left with diminished time and attenuated mental latitude for introspection, for quiet contemplation, for the cultivation of personal growth, for the pursuit of avocations that elicit joy, or for the nurturing of those deep, resonant relationships that form the bedrock of a life replete with fulfillment. It is here that the concept of essential focus assumes paramount significance. Essential focus entails the deliberate choice to allocate our precious time and energy to a select few endeavors that hold genuine import. Social media, with its unremitting demands and superficial enticements, actively militates against essential focus, drawing us away from the quiet, deliberate work of discerning and cultivating that which possesses lasting value. This perpetual reliance on external validation also erodes our intrinsic self-worth. When our sense of value becomes inextricably linked to our follower count, the accolades we garner, or the meticulously crafted persona we project, it becomes inherently precarious. Our self-esteem ceases to be anchored in our inner essence, our values, our integrity, our compassion, our achievements that hold personal significance. Instead, it becomes beholden to the capricious judgments and transient attentions of others, mediated by an unseen algorithm. This renders us susceptible. Our confidence can ascend to stratospheric heights one day, only to plummet the next, dictated by the unpredictable flux of online popularity. True self-esteem, the kind that empowers us to stand resiliently in the face of life's adversities, emanates from within. It is forged through self-acceptance and a quiet conviction in our own inherent worth, independent of external plaudits. Social media, by its very design, prompts us to solicit that external applause, thereby undermining the very foundation of robust, intrinsic self-regard. Consider the narrative of Anya. Anya was an artist of considerable talent, her passion for painting incandescent. She would spend uncounted hours in her studio, immersed in the interplay of colors and textures, conjuring works that resonated with the very core of her being. Then she discovered social media. Abruptly, she felt compelled to exhibit her creations, to amass adherents, to solicit approbation. Her focus underwent a profound alteration. Rather than painting that which stirred her soul, she began to paint that which she surmised would capture online attention. She devoted more time to orchestrating the perfect photographic rendition of her art and devising clever annotations than she did to the actual act of painting. Her digital presence evolved into a showcase of her success, a burgeoning follower count, effusive comments on her more accessible, brightly hued pieces. Yet, Anya experienced a growing void. The joy she once derived from the creative process was supplanted by an anxious preoccupation with engagement metrics. She received external validation, to be sure, but the profound, internal satisfaction that had once sustained her had vanished. Her art, once a conduit for deep meaning, devolved into a mechanism for seeking approval. The essential focus she had once dedicated to her craft was fractured, diluted by the pursuit of ephemeral digital acclaim. She was forging connections with a wider digital audience, yet felt more estranged from herself and her authentic passion than ever before. The algorithms that underpin social media are meticulously engineered to ensnare us. They discern what captures our attention and subsequently inundate us with more of the same, fostering echo chambers and reinforcing pre-existing cognitive biases. This is not a pursuit of genuine connection or substantive information. It is a quest to maximize engagement. The incessant notifications, the inexhaustible scroll, the personalized feeds, these are all deliberately constructed to command our gaze, to disrupt our thought processes, and to preclude our disengagement. The psychological ramifications are profound. We become conditioned to seek out these digital rewards, experiencing subtle surges of dopamine with each received like or notification. This cultivates a dependency, rendering it increasingly arduous to extricate ourselves. The very mechanisms ostensibly designed to connect us are, in reality, isolating us from our inner lives and from the more profound, intricate realities of the world that envelops us. How does this diversion of our most precious resources truly manifest in our lives? Contemplate the hours dissipated in scrolling. An hour daily, 5 days a week, accumulates to over 260 hours annually. That represents more than 6 weeks of a full-time occupation spent fixated on screens. Imagine the achievements that could be realized, the knowledge that could be acquired, the relationships that could be deepened within that temporal expanse. The emotional energy expended in comparing ourselves to others, in fretting over our online persona, in succumbing to feelings of inadequacy, that is energy that could be channeled into problem solving, into creative endeavors, into cultivating empathy, into simply inhabiting the present moment and savoring life. Social media does not merely offer a distraction, it actively drains the very resources, time, attention, emotional bandwidth that are indispensable for constructing a life imbued with purpose and meaning. It entices us to pursue a mirage of happiness, while the genuine oasis of fulfillment lies just beyond our grasp, obscured by the digital haze. The allure of social media is potent because it taps into fundamental human yearnings, the desire for belonging, for recognition, for admiration. Yet, its promises are frequently hollow. It proffers a superficial facsimile of connection, a fleeting sense of validation, and a relentless, enervating cycle of comparison. By comprehending these illusions, we can commence the reclamation of our attention and our energy. We can begin to apprehend that true fulfillment is not derived from the quantity of likes we accrue, but from the profundity of our interpersonal bonds, the authenticity of our experiences, and the quiet pursuit of that which genuinely resonates with us. This realization constitutes the nascent step toward cultivating essential focus, toward architecting a life that is not merely popular online, but is profoundly rich and meaningful. Chapter 2. Finding True Meaning. 1. The Limits of Wealth and Approval. We are repeatedly told that fortune is the engine of the world, and that being esteemed or adored signifies a life well lived. This narrative saturates our culture, in cinematic tales, commercial appeals, and the very anecdotes of triumph we share. We are assured that accumulating sufficient wealth, acquiring the coveted possessions, and eliciting widespread commendation will finally usher in happiness. Yet, if we pause, truly pause and observe, a curious anomaly might emerge. Many individuals who possess unparalleled riches and universal admiration appear hollow. Their opulent residences and gleaming automobiles may speak of success, but their eyes often betray weariness or sorrow. They may command legions of online followers, yet find themselves steeped in profound solitude. This phenomenon arises because affluence and acclaim are akin to the exquisite, shimmering gift wrap encasing an empty box. The initial sensation is fleeting, much like the thrill of unwrapping a present. But once the paper is discarded and the immediate exhilaration subsides, there is nothing substantial to grasp. This marks the inaugural realization as we embark on the quest for what genuinely matters, the inherent limitations of wealth and approval. Consider the delight of a new toy in childhood. For the first few days, it reigns as the pinnacle of possession. It is the sole object of our play, but soon, it devolves into just another plaything. We may even find our gaze drifting toward the next novel acquisition. This is what scientists term the hedonic treadmill. It signifies our capacity to acclimate to any positive development, be it a new gadget, a career advancement, or an augmented bank balance. The happiness it bestows is akin to a sugar rush, exhilarating momentarily, but ephemeral. To recapture that same intensity, we require more capital, more praise, more digital affirmation. We find ourselves accelerating on this treadmill, yet making no genuine progress toward a more meaningful existence. Certainly, affluence can alleviate life's burdens. It can purchase comfort, security, and enriching experiences. It can unlock opportunities and pave pathways. However, it cannot procure authentic affection. It cannot bestow tranquility amidst anxiety or fear. It cannot replicate the profound bond shared with a true companion or family member. And it most assuredly cannot purchase the profound contentment of self-acceptance. Many extraordinarily wealthy individuals, when candid, will attest to this truth. They may possess every material desire, yet experience a pervasive loneliness, a gnawing sense of an essential void. Gazing upon their vast fortunes, they may ponder, is this all there is? The same applies to the ceaseless pursuit of validation. In our contemporary world, it is remarkably easy to become ensnared in this endeavor. Social media inundates us with a perpetual stream of individuals exuding happiness, success, and popularity. We observe the likes, the comments, the shares, and begin to equate these with significance. We may meticulously curate our pronouncements, our imagery, our entire digital existence, solely to garner more of these ephemeral tokens of approval. Yet, this is akin to attempting to quench thirst by drinking salt water. The more one consumes, the greater the craving and the deeper the dissatisfaction. When our sense of self-worth becomes tethered to the opinions of others, we transform into a vessel adrift, buffeted by the capricious winds of public sentiment. One day, universal acclaim propels us to elation. The next, a single disparaging remark plunges us into despair. This perpetual reliance on external validation is profoundly draining. It stifles our authenticity, compelling us to contort ourselves into what we perceive others desire. We end up performing a curated version of ourselves, rather than living with genuine presence. The intrinsic joy of creation, the quiet satisfaction of a task well executed, or the warmth of a sincere compliment from a loved one, these are tangible realities. But the fleeting euphoria of 1,000 digital acknowledgments? That is merely a diversion. Why, then, are we so inexorably drawn to wealth and approval if they ultimately fail to satisfy? Because they are vociferous. They are ostentatious. They are precisely what society incessantly champions as paramount. They represent the facile answers, the readily accessible distractions from the arduous, profound work of discovering genuine meaning. The relentless pursuit of greater wealth and more praise consumes our time, our vitality, and our thoughts. It is akin to a dazzling, clamorous carnival that diverts our attention from the serene, verdant garden we could cultivate within our own domain. Consider the driven executive, perpetually engaged in work, forever chasing the next significant transaction. They may amass considerable wealth, and their peers may accord them respect for their achievements. But what are they sacrificing? They may forfeit witnessing their children's nascent steps, their partner's quiet moments of vulnerability, or the simple pleasure of sharing a sunset with a beloved. The pursuit of affluence has become so all-encompassing that it has rendered them oblivious to the truly precious elements that money can never acquire. Alternatively, contemplate the artist possessed of a singular vision, a unique perspective on the world. Yet, if they become overly preoccupied with critical reception or commercial viability, their art may begin to falter. They might soften the sharp edges, render it more palatable, more widely embraced. In doing so, they may accrue greater fortune and fame, but they forfeit the very essence that imbued their art with its distinctiveness. They exchange authenticity for applause. It is here that the concept of essential focus becomes paramount. It is the principle of recognizing life's finite nature and the preciousness of our energy and attention. If we expend all our time and effort pursuing that which holds no true significance, such as unending wealth, or the perpetual approbation of others, we are left with nothing for that which genuinely matters. Essential focus entails understanding that these external markers are not the ultimate objective. They are often mere distractions, designed to occupy us and divert our attention. The paradox of having it all and experiencing emptiness is a pervasive one. We witness individuals who have attained society's definition of success, the grand residence, the luxurious conveyance, the esteemed position, and yet they remain profoundly unhappy. They may grapple with anxiety, depression, or a pervasive sense of aimlessness. This is not a personal failing. It is an indicator. It signifies that the compass they were provided, the one that asserts pursue wealth and approval to find happiness, is fundamentally flawed. It leads one to a destination that appears desirable externally but is devoid of substance internally. How does this incessant comparison, this ceaseless striving for more wealth and greater praise, actively diminish our capacity to discover what truly matters? It is akin to attempting to discern a whisper amidst a deafening rock concert. The sheer volume of the chase drowns out the subtle voice of our inner intuition. When we are perpetually observing what others possess, or what others deem of us, we are not looking inward. We are neglecting our own feelings, our own values, our own deepest aspirations. We are so consumed by comparing ourselves to others that we fail to ask ourselves, what do I genuinely value? What brings me a sense of profound fulfillment, beyond fleeting pleasure? This game of comparison fosters a restless discontent, a feeling of perpetual inadequacy, and makes it exceedingly difficult to appreciate our existing blessings or to identify what would truly enrich our lives. And what are the long-term emotional and psychological repercussions of basing our self-worth primarily on financial standing or the judgments of others? They are considerable. Relying on wealth for self-validation means our perceived value fluctuates with our bank balance. If we experience financial loss, do we also lose our sense of self? Depending on the opinions of others places our self-esteem in the hands of individuals who may not truly know us, or whose sentiments may shift without warning. This engenders profound insecurity, a persistent undercurrent of anxiety. It renders us brittle. We possess diminished resilience in the face of life's inevitable adversities. We may become excessively defensive when criticized or excessively reliant on praise. It impedes the development of a robust, stable inner core of self-acceptance, independent of external circumstances. It is akin to constructing a dwelling upon sand. It appears solid until the tide encroaches. When we truly grasp that wealth and approval are ultimately insubstantial, that they do not form the bedrock of a meaningful existence, we begin to seek elsewhere. We commence shedding the illusions that society has so meticulously crafted. The subsequent stage in discovering true meaning necessitates venturing beyond the cacophony of external validation and embarking on the challenging, yet profoundly rewarding, endeavor of identifying and nurturing our essential focus. This entails redirecting our attention inward and outward toward the select few elements that, even stripped of all superficial embellishment, retain enduring and authentic value. 2. Discovering values that last. We spend so much of our lives chasing phantoms, illusions that, upon closer inspection, dissolve like mist. Society relentlessly whispers that success is measured in accumulation, more wealth, more possessions, a grander dwelling, a more ostentatious vehicle. It tells us happiness is found in the fickle approval of the many, in the ephemeral validation of digital applause, in the glow of screens that flicker with fleeting attention. Our worth, we are informed, is tethered to our latest promotion, the heft of our bank balance. Yet, the quiet murmur of our own finitude begins to swell. This is not an invitation to dwell on the end, but a call to let its stark reality pierce the cacophony of our pursuits. Imagine yourself at life's precipice, gazing back. Do you envision a profound sense of fulfillment derived from the tally of likes amassed? Or from the acquisition of last year's latest gadget? The prospect is, in all likelihood, hollow. These acquisitions are akin to sand sifting through cupped hands, potent in the immediate, yet incapable of constructing anything enduring. We are schooled, with unyielding insistence, to believe that more is the panacea. More things, more status, more experiences. Paradoxically, the more we chase, the more we find ourselves on an endless treadmill, perpetually reaching for the next horizon, never truly alighting in a haven of genuine peace or profound contentment. The ephemeral thrill of a new acquisition wanes. The elation of a promotion settles into the mundane. The balm of social media approval is a transient fix, a sugar rush that inevitably leaves behind a gnawing emptiness. This relentless pursuit of more is a potent illusion, a societal schema that promises bliss but often delivers only a restless dissatisfaction. The contemplation of mortality, however, serves as a potent antidote. It is a sudden, piercing luminescence that exposes the fragile artifice of these superficial ambitions. It compels us to ask, what will truly resonate when all else is stripped away? What will echo in the profound silence? This is the crucible in which the concept of essential focus is forged. It is not a call to asceticism, but to intentionality. It is the recognition that our energy and attention are precious, finite commodities. We cannot afford to squander them across 1,000 trivialities. Instead, we must learn to channel them, like a searing spotlight, onto the select few pursuits that genuinely hold weight and meaning. Picture a vast, darkened chamber. A floodlight might bathe the entire expanse, but its illumination is diffuse, blurring edges and obscuring details. A spotlight, conversely, concentrates its intense beam upon a singular object, revealing its texture, its form, its very essence. This is the function of essential focus in our lives. It cleaves through the clutter, the distractions, the clamor of societal dictates, and illuminates what we truly require nurturing. It is the deliberate choice to invest our time, our heart, and our intellect into a scant handful of endeavors that are profoundly significant and genuinely resonant. This stands in stark opposition to the prevalent inclination to pursue a multiplicity of superficial objectives, the insatiable craving for digital affirmation, the ceaseless accumulation of material wealth, the desperate yearning for external validation. Essential focus springs from a deep comprehension of life's inherent limitations, most notably the undeniable specter of our mortality. This understanding serves to cut through the distractions, revealing that which possesses enduring value. It necessitates emotional candor and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, rather than perpetually seeking facile resolutions or fleeting moments of superficial joy. So, how do we unearth these enduring values, these anchors in life's tempest? It is a journey of introspection, a turning inward, away from the strident pronouncements of the external world. Often, the values we espouse are not authentically our own. They are echoes of parental expectations, the perceived ideals of our peers, or the siren song of glossy publications. We may have adopted a blueprint for a flourishing life that is fundamentally misaligned with our own being. We might subscribe to the notion that success is synonymous with climbing a corporate ladder, or that happiness is inextricably linked to the ownership of a particular automobile. These are societal constructs, and while they may offer a semblance of direction, they can also lead us astray, leaving us feeling like strangers within our own existence. The discovery of what truly matters demands profound introspection. It is a process of peeling back the layers of imposed expectation to unearth our personal, deeply held values, the principles that resonate with our most authentic selves. These are values that transcend the superficial. They are not concerned with the amassing of fortune or the acquisition of popularity. Instead, they might be rooted in integrity, in the unwavering commitment to act rightly, even in the face of adversity. They may be grounded in compassion, in a genuine concern for the well-being of others. They could stem from creativity, from the impulse to express ourselves and bring forth something novel into the world. Or perhaps they lie in connection, in the cultivation of profound, meaningful bonds with fellow beings. These are the values that, when honored, bestow a quiet, steadfast sense of purpose and fulfillment, a profound assurance that we are living a life true to ourselves. I recall a period, years ago, when I was ensnared in the vortex of professional ambition. My days were a blur of meetings, deadlines, and the incessant pressure to achieve more, to attain greater visibility. I harbored the conviction, with every fiber of my being, that this was the trajectory toward a meaningful existence. I pursued the societal blueprint of success with an almost fanatical devotion. Then, my father fell gravely ill. Suddenly, the urgent emails and the quarterly reports seemed utterly inconsequential. I found myself seated by his bedside, my thoughts not on my next presentation, but on the innumerable hours we had spent fishing in our youth, the tales he used to spin, the quiet fortitude he embodied. In those hushed moments, the superficial objectives I had pursued with such fervor lost all their allure. What mattered then was not my professional title but my presence. Not my accomplishments, but my love. It was not about what I had done, but about who I was to him and who he was to me. This experience, akin to a seismic event, shattered the foundations of my perceived priorities. It compelled me to confront the stark reality that the things I had been chasing were, ultimately, hollow. The true treasures were the moments of connection, the shared laughter, the silent understanding. It was then that I began to truly grasp the power of essential focus. I observed how my father, in his quiet demeanor, had consistently lived by a set of core values: kindness, resilience, and a profound, unyielding love for his family. These were not values proclaimed on billboards or celebrated in headlines, but they constituted the bedrock of his character and the wellspring of his enduring peace. This leads us to a fundamental verity. While abstract values are indispensable, the most potent and reliable source of lasting meaning often resides in the quality of our relationships. Consider this. When you confront a significant challenge, or when you stand at the close of your journey, whom do you desire by your side? With whom do you wish to share your deepest thoughts and sentiments? Rarely is it the individual possessing the most impressive curriculum vitae or the most substantial bank account. It is the people who know you, truly know you, and love you nonetheless. They are the friends who have navigated storms alongside you, the family members who have offered unflagging support, the partners who have shared your triumphs and tribulations. These connections are not mere embellishments to life, they are the very warp and weft of a meaningful existence. They provide a sense of belonging, a feeling of being seen and understood, and a profound reservoir of solace and strength. These are not superficial affiliations, forged from convenience or shared pastimes. They are profound, authentic bonds, tempered by vulnerability, trust, and mutual esteem. They are the relationships that, when you envision your final days, you would yearn to be enveloped by. They offer a richness and depth that no material possession or professional accolade can ever replicate. Investing in these relationships is not a diversion from our objectives. It is, in fact, one of the most essential objectives we can pursue. It is a deliberate choice to cultivate the human connections that provide enduring support, unconditional affection, and a profound sense of purpose. The endeavor of discerning what truly matters is not a singular event, but an ongoing pilgrimage. It demands that we possess the courage to scrutinize the messages we receive from the world and to attune ourselves to the quieter, more authentic voice within. It signifies the recognition that the pursuit of more is a snare, a treadmill leading nowhere truly fulfilling. Instead, we must embrace the power of essential focus, consciously electing to channel our limited energy and attention into a select few domains that genuinely hold value. This might entail choosing to diminish time spent scrolling through social media and to amplify meaningful conversations with loved ones. It could mean relinquishing the pressure to perpetually acquire more possessions and instead concentrating on cultivating a deeper sense of gratitude for what we already possess. It might involve a reevaluation of our career aspirations, not solely in terms of advancement or remuneration, but in terms of how our work aligns with our core values and contributes to something greater than ourselves. This deliberate choice to concentrate on the essential, born from an honest confrontation with our mortality, empowers us to transcend the superficial, and unearth the enduring values that will truly sustain us. It is about constructing a life not upon shifting sands, but upon the bedrock of what genuinely matters, a life that, upon retrospective examination, will be recognized not for its quantity, but for its profound and lasting quality. 3. What makes life worthwhile? We spend an inordinate portion of our existence in relentless pursuit. We covet greater wealth, grander domiciles, more ostentatious conveyances. We yearn for amplified digital acclamation, a burgeoning legion of followers, and a chorus of affirmation for our endeavors. We aspire to renown, or at the very least, recognition. We crave perpetual felicity, and its absence is perceived as a fundamental flaw. But what if this ceaseless chase actively impedes the very fulfillment we seek? What if a life of genuine import is not predicated on accumulation, but on being, and on the deliberate cultivation, of a select few precious elements? It is remarkably facile to become ensnared by the prevailing societal narratives that define a life well lived. We are inundated by cinematic portrayals and commercial enticements that depict idyllic families, ascendant careers, and perpetual sojourns. We hear tales of the affluent and celebrated, and presumptuously infer the unparalleled magnificence of their existence. We are indoctrinated with the notion that diligent effort, judicious acquisition, and an impeccable presentation will invariably usher in happiness and contentment. But have you ever paused to consider whether these external markers genuinely engender a sense of fulfillment? Or do they merely foster a feeling of busyness, or perhaps a subtle hollowness when the applause subsides or the novelty of a new acquisition wanes? Reflect for a moment. As you navigate the digital currents of social media, do you not frequently experience a pang of envy or a sense of inadequacy? Do you juxtapose your own lived reality with the meticulously curated highlights of others and perceive yourself as falling short? This persistent comparison, this ceaseless striving for external validation, constitutes a potent diversion. It siphons our attention from the profound currents within, from the subtle whispers of our inner being that may be endeavoring to impart a divergent truth. The pursuit of external affirmation, much like a desert mirage, promises solace, but perpetually recedes as we approach. It is a treadmill that propels us forward without ever truly reaching a destination. This unremitting quest for more, for better, for approval, paradoxically leaves us feeling less satisfied, not more. It is a curious paradox, is it not? The more we attempt to grasp, the more elusive our hold becomes. This is the very juncture at which the concept of essential focus emerges. It is the principle that a life of true significance is not constructed upon a sprawling tapestry of superficial objectives, but rather upon a profound and unwavering dedication to a select few matters of genuine consequence. It necessitates an understanding that our temporal and energetic resources are finite, and that attempting to embody every role, or achieve every conceivable goal, will inevitably result in fragmentation and exhaustion. Instead, it is about making judicious choices, with unwavering clarity and resolute courage, regarding that which merits our most precious resources. How, then, do we ascertain these precious elements? The answer, perhaps surprisingly, resides not in logic or a prescriptive checklist, but within the realm of our emotions. That which imbues life with worth is not necessarily that which is most rational or widely embraced, but that which resonates deeply within us. It is about identifying that which bestows upon us a profound sense of joy, that which ignites our curiosity, that which fosters a feeling of being loved and connected, that which imparts a sense of purpose, or even that which challenges us in a manner conducive to growth. These are the sensations that affirm our aliveness, that signify a tangible experience of reality. Recall the instances when you have felt most vibrantly alive. Was it during an endless scroll through digital ephemera, or during a profound exchange with a cherished individual? Was it in the act of acquiring a new possession, or in the creation of something with your own hands, or in the selfless act of aiding another? These moments of deep engagement, of authentic connection, of heartfelt contribution, these are the moments that truly construct a life of enduring value. They are the moments that tap into our emotional core. This is precisely why confronting our mortality holds such profound significance. When we genuinely embrace the finite nature of our existence, the trivialities of life begin to recede. The compulsion to impress strangers, to amass superfluous possessions, or to chase ephemeral trends loses its dominion. Death, in its stark finality, possesses an uncanny ability to cut through the cacophony and reveal that which remains when all distractions are purged. It compels us to pose the more arduous questions. What will I most regret leaving behind? What truly mattered in the ultimate reckoning? What legacy, not of material wealth, but of love and influence, do I wish to bequeath? These inquiries, born from the shadow of mortality, illuminate the path toward a life well lived. The analytical interrogations we must pose to ourselves are of paramount importance here. How does this incessant pursuit of external validation actively erode our inherent sense of worth? It is akin to attempting to fill a vessel with a fissure. Each digital commendation, each effusive compliment, each material acquisition offers a transient palliative, a fleeting sensation of gratification. Yet, because it is external, it is not intrinsically ours. It is contingent upon the approbation of others, upon circumstances that can shift with capricious speed. This renders us vulnerable, perpetually apprehensive of relinquishing our gains, and perpetually desirous of more. Psychologically, this engenders a cycle of dependency. We become habituated to the dopamine surge of external rewards, which effectively numbs us to the deeper, more sustainable forms of happiness that emanate from within. We begin to internalize the belief that our value is intrinsically linked to the perceptions of others, rather than to our own intrinsic worth. This is the very mechanism that actively detracts from a life that is truly meaningful, for it compels us to direct our gaze outward when the true treasure lies within. And what, precisely, are these emotional indicators? They are the intuitive perceptions, the quiet certitude, the sense of tranquility or exhilaration that arises when we are in alignment with our authentic selves. It is the warmth that suffuses the chest upon witnessing the smile of a loved one. It is the spark of curiosity that ignites when encountering novel information that captivates the intellect. It is the profound satisfaction derived from completing a formidable undertaking to which one has devoted their heart. It is the serene contentment that settles upon the soul when one is simply present, breathing, and aware. These are not boisterous, ostentatious emotions. They are subtle, profound, and deeply personal. Learning to place faith in these indicators necessitates quieting the external clamor and attuning oneself to the internal compass. It means recognizing that ephemeral pleasure is not synonymous with enduring fulfillment, and that true worth is often discovered in experiences that are tranquil, meaningful, and deeply felt. One potent avenue for cultivating this essential focus lies in the profound depth of our connections. Meaningful relationships are not characterized by an expansive network of acquaintances. Rather, they are defined by the presence of a select few individuals with whom one can be entirely authentic, who perceive, accept, and cherish you for precisely who you are, imperfections and all. These are the individuals who celebrate your triumphs with unfeigned delight and who remain steadfastly present during your darkest hours, devoid of judgment. They are the ones who render the journey of life more enriched, more bearable, and infinitely more significant. Consider the individuals who have exerted the most profound influence upon your life. It is unlikely to be the person who bestowed the most extravagant gift, but rather the one who offered a receptive ear, a comforting embrace, or a word of encouragement when it was most desperately needed. These deep, authentic connections are not forged through superficial interactions, they are meticulously crafted through shared experiences, vulnerability, and mutual solicitude. They constitute the bedrock of a life imbued with meaning. Equally compelling is the act of contributing to something that transcends our individual existence. This does not imply an obligation to single-handedly redeem the world, though some may indeed undertake such a monumental task. It can be as simple as assisting a neighbor, dedicating one's time to a cause in which one believes, or creating art that resonates deeply with another's soul. When we contribute, we transcend our personal preoccupations and forge a connection with a broader purpose. This act of giving, of effecting a positive transformation, however modest, imbues our lives with a sense of significance that material possessions or external accolades can never adequately provide. It redirects our focus from what we can acquire to what we can bestow, and within that redirection, we frequently discover a profound sense of meaning. It is the distinction between amassing possessions and constructing something enduring, something that touches lives beyond our own. Consider the narrative of Alara. For years, Alara pursued the phantasm of success. Her days were a chaotic continuum of meetings, electronic correspondence, and the incessant pressure to ascend the corporate hierarchy. Her digital presence served as a testament to her frenetic existence. Images of opulent repasts, exotic sojourns, and meticulously documented achievements. Yet, beneath this polished veneer, Alara harbored a persistent, gnawing emptiness. She was utterly depleted, estranged from her companions and kin, and increasingly uncertain of the ultimate objective of her relentless endeavors. Then arrived the diagnosis. A serious malady, unforeseen and demanding, compelled Alara to decelerate. In the quietude of her convalescence, divested of her accustomed diversions and the unyielding tempo of her vocation, she began to perceive matters with a newfound clarity. The endless stream of electronic messages and the relentless pursuit of promotions suddenly appeared utterly inconsequential. What truly mattered were the hushed conversations with her sister, the tender caress of her partner's hand, the simple solace of a warm infusion on a cool morning. She recognized that her life, despite its outward markers of success, had been remarkably devoid of depth. She had been so preoccupied with the act of doing that she had neglected the art of being. During this period, Alara recommenced fostering connections with old friends, individuals with whom she had gradually drifted apart in her unyielding pursuit of professional advancement. She found herself engaging in extended, profound dialogues, not concerning work or material possessions, but rather about aspirations, apprehensions, and the unadorned joys of existence. She rediscovered a dormant passion for painting, a pastime she had relinquished years prior. She began dedicating hours within her modest studio, not with the objective of achieving gallery exhibitions, but solely for the pure, unadulterated pleasure of creation. The hues upon the canvas became her lexicon, articulating emotion she had long suppressed. As Alara's health gradually improved, she eschewed a return to her former life. Instead, she made a deliberate choice to embrace essential focus. She relinquished her demanding employment and secured a part-time position that afforded her greater temporal and energetic latitude. She dedicated herself to nurturing her relationships, ensuring the scheduling of regular communications and visits with her loved ones. Her digital footprint diminished, supplanted by genuine, face-to-face interactions. She continued to paint, deriving immense satisfaction from the process itself, rather than from its ultimate outcome. She also commenced volunteering at a local animal sanctuary, finding profound fulfillment in tending to creatures who offered unconditional affection. Alara's life was not adorned with the outward emblems of success she had once so fervently desired. She was not accumulating wealth nor seeking celebrity. Yet, her life was, for the first time, genuinely worthwhile. She experienced a profound sense of tranquility, a deep connection to herself and to others, and a quiet joy that permeated her days. She had come to understand that the worth of a life is not measured by its breadth, but by its depth, and that true significance is discovered not in possessing more, but in cherishing a select few essential elements with one's entire being. This transition from the pursuit of the superficial to the embrace of the essential is not invariably facile. It necessitates the courage to challenge the narratives that have been imparted to us, and the candor to examine our own lives and acknowledge that which genuinely animates us. It requires a willingness to relinquish that which no longer serves us, even if it is popular or expected. It is about consciously choosing to invest our energy in the relationships that nurture us, the activities that ignite our spirits, and the contributions that effect a positive change, however minuscule. This is the trajectory toward a life that is not merely lived, but deeply, profoundly, and unequivocally worthwhile. Once we begin to discern what truly imbues life with worth, the subsequent critical juncture involves understanding how to cultivate and safeguard these precious constituents. This leads us to the practical, yet often arduous, discipline of intentional living. 4. Living with purpose. We often hear the phrase finding your purpose, conjuring images of a grand quest, a hidden treasure awaiting discovery. The narrative suggests stumbling upon a map, deciphering clues, and ultimately unearthing a singular, life-defining mission. But what if purpose is not unearthed, but chosen? What if it is less about a destination and more about the deliberate way we navigate the path laid before us, especially when we acknowledge its finite nature? Consider this: the clock is always ticking, whether we acknowledge its relentless march or not. Each day, each hour, is a finite, precious resource. We can squander it chasing ephemeral gleams that quickly fade, or we can consciously decide to invest it in endeavors that possess enduring radiance. This is the realm of essential focus. It is the quiet, potent realization that our time and energy are limited, necessitating an exquisite discernment in where we direct them. Living with purpose, then, is not about possessing a preordained destiny. It is about the active, daily volition to steer our lives toward the select few things that genuinely resonate with us, with the profound understanding that our time is a fleeting gift. It is remarkably easy to be swept away by the current of busyness. Our contemporary world is meticulously designed to absorb our attention, to fill every interstitial moment. We scroll through endless digital streams, respond to every ping, and juggle a multitude of tasks, all while convincing ourselves of our productivity, of our forward momentum. Yet, this incessant activity is frequently a sophisticated form of distraction. It serves as a means to evade deeper introspection, to occupy our minds, so we do not have to confront the subtle hum of dissatisfaction, or the persistent whisper that something vital is absent. We mistake frantic activity for accomplishment, and perpetual motion for meaningful progress. Consider Sarah, a woman I once knew who toiled with unflagging intensity. Her days were a whirlwind of meetings, emails, and social obligations. She was perpetually in motion, perpetually stressed, yet maintained a meticulously curated online persona. Her posts showcased a life of unceasing achievement, new projects, exotic sojourns, and a cascade of accolades from her followers. However, in our conversations, beneath the polished veneer, a profound weariness was palpable. She confessed feeling as though she were running on a treadmill, expending immense energy, but making no discernible progress. She was undeniably busy, but was she living with purpose? It seemed her purpose had devolved into the performance of success, a relentless pursuit of external validation that left her feeling hollow. Her life was replete with many things, but few that truly nourished her spirit. This illustrates the peril of conflating busyness with purpose. Busyness is often propelled by external pressures, the imperative to impress, to keep pace, to avoid being left behind. It is a reactive stance toward the world. Purpose, conversely, is an internal compass. It is a deliberate alignment of our actions with our most deeply held values, irrespective of external judgment or expectation. When we operate with genuine purpose, we are not merely reacting, we are acting from a foundation of conviction. We comprehend why we are undertaking an action, and that why is rooted in something intrinsically meaningful, not merely something that requires completion. The bedrock of essential focus lies in recognizing that only a select few aspects of life truly merit our undivided attention. This is not an exercise in pessimism, but in clear-eyed realism. Life is finite. We cannot master every discipline, cultivate every relationship, indulge every hobby, or chase every fleeting trend. The notion that we can possess everything, achieve everything, and be everything is a modern fallacy that ultimately leads to exhaustion and a sense of unfulfillment. The truth, however uncomfortable, is that we are compelled to make choices. We must decide what is genuinely worth our profound investment. So how do we transition from the nebulous concept of purpose to its tangible embodiment? It commences with unvarnished introspection. It demands that we peel back the layers of societal expectation, the cacophony of constant comparison, and the allure of superficial triumphs. What are the elements of your existence that, were you to face its imminent conclusion, you would most regret having neglected? What activities ignite a sense of aliveness, engagement, and connection within you? What causes or individuals stir a deep wellspring of care? These are not questions with facile answers. They demand courage. They necessitate an honest appraisal of ourselves, our motivations, and the current allocation of our precious hours. It is about identifying your few things worth giving an expletive about. For some, this might manifest as nurturing profound connections with family and cherished friends. For others, it may involve dedicating themselves to a creative pursuit, a craft, or a cause that champions positive change. It could be a commitment to lifelong learning, to a deeper understanding of the world, or to simply savoring life's richness through quiet observation and appreciation. The crucial aspect here is that these are not benchmarks of external validation. They are not about accumulating wealth, status, or online affirmation. They are about intrinsic worth. They are about what resonates with your inner being, what bestows upon you a sense of profound satisfaction and meaning, regardless of external accolades. If your purpose is rooted in love, that love is expressed through your actions toward those you cherish, not through the number of likes on a photograph featuring them. If your purpose lies in creation, it resides in the act of making, not in the volume of sales or commendations. This pivot from external metrics to internal values is paramount. Our society frequently bombards us with messages equating success with material acquisition, social influence, or professional prestige. We are led to believe that a larger home, a more opulent vehicle, or a loftier job title are indicators of a life well lived. Yet, as we stand at life's precipice, these often reveal themselves as mere adornments, elaborate but ultimately hollow if disconnected from something deeper. Essential focus compels us to look beyond these glittering diversions and anchor our lives in values of enduring significance. Once we embark on the process of identifying these core values and the select few pursuits that genuinely matter, purpose transmutes from a passive concept into an active discipline. It is insufficient to merely contemplate what matters, we must act upon it. Living with purpose necessitates commitment. It means making choices that reflect our values, even when faced with adversity or inconvenience. It entails the fortitude to decline the myriad distractions that pull us from our chosen trajectory, and to embrace the select few that guide us toward authentic fulfillment. This commitment might manifest as carving out dedicated time each week for a passion project, even at the expense of leisure or social engagements. It might involve selecting a career path that harmonizes with your values, even if it offers less financial remuneration or societal recognition. It could mean prioritizing profound exchanges with loved ones over superficial interactions, or channeling energy into acquiring a new skill that genuinely ignites your curiosity rather than merely keeping abreast of ephemeral trends. These are the tangible manifestations of a purposeful existence. They are the actions that attest to your dedication to what truly holds weight. The endeavor of identifying and actualizing our purpose is not a singular event. It is a continuous odyssey of reflection, adaptation, and renewed dedication. As we mature and evolve, our comprehension of what truly matters may also undergo transformation. The key is to maintain honesty with ourselves, to regularly consult our inner compass, and to make conscious choices that ensure alignment with our deepest values. This is the essence of purposeful living, a deliberate, ongoing effort to imbue our lives with meaning by concentrating our energy on the select few elements that possess genuine substance. When we embrace this conception of purpose as a conscious selection, grounded in our values and informed by the awareness of our finite existence, we begin to unlock a profound sense of liberation. We are no longer beholden to external expectations or the ceaseless pursuit of superficial objectives. Instead, we become the architects of our own meaningful lives, intentionally directing our energy toward that which yields genuine fulfillment. This is the heart of essential focus, to cut through the world's clamor and to discover and nurture the quiet, potent sources of lasting significance. It is about living fully, not merely busily, within the time we are allotted. Once we commence the process of identifying and committing to these essential pursuits, the subsequent critical step is to recognize that this journey of purposeful living is not a solitary undertaking. The depth of our connections and the quality of our relationships frequently form the very foundation upon which our most profound sense of meaning is constructed. Therefore, our attention must now turn toward conclusion, to confront the specter of mortality, to allow its somber hue to stain the vibrant, bustling canvas of our existence, requires a singular fortitude. You have undertaken this very pilgrimage, traversing these pages, delving into the hushed verities often drowned out by the cacophony of the mundane. We commenced with the acknowledgement of a truth as plain as it is irrefutable. Our tenure upon this earth is circumscribed. This is not a morbid pronouncement, but an eloquent summons. It is an invitation to divest ourselves of the superfluous, to pierce the veil of artifice, and to unearth that which truly possesses gravitas. From this nascent understanding, a cardinal principle crystallizes, a compass to navigate the labyrinthine currents of being with lucidity and intent, essential focus. It is the deliberate, wholehearted art of channeling our finite vitality into the select few endeavors that resonate with profound significance, rather than dissipating our essence across 1,000 ephemeral distractions. Recall the world that so often ensnares us, a realm that whispers promises of felicity through the ceaseless scroll, the acquisitive accumulation of possessions, the perpetual quest for the approbation of strangers. These are the beguiling anthems of superficiality, luring us onto the jagged reefs of dissatisfaction. Social media unfurls a pageant of meticulously curated lives, a relentless comparison that leaves us feeling wanting. We are indoctrinated with the creed that more is invariably superior. More adherence, more acquisitions, more standing. Yet, in the quiet recesses of our being, a void often yawns, a gnawing sensation that a vital element is absent. This unremitting pursuit of more is an insidious diversion. It siphons our precious energy, diverts our gaze from the tranquil moments that nourish the spirit, and estranges us from genuine communion with ourselves and those we hold dearest. The promised land of enduring contentment remains perpetually out of reach, leaving us adrift, questioning the source of our disquiet. It is here that essential focus proffers an alternative trajectory, a means to reclaim our lives from the encroaching clamor. This is not a doctrine of renunciation, but one of profound intentionality. It is the recognition that our time and attention are our most precious commodities, and the conscious decision to deploy them with wisdom. Instead of pursuing 100 shallow objectives, essential focus implores us to identify a handful of core pursuits that imbue our lives with deep meaning. This might manifest as the cultivation of our familial and most intimate bonds, the redirection of our energies toward work that possesses inherent purpose and contributes to a greater good, or the dedication of time to personal metamorphosis, to a more profound self-understanding, to the cultivation of resilience, and to the attainment of inner serenity. It is the practice of being present, truly present, within the fleeting moments we are granted, savoring the subtle joys, and revering the unadorned beauty that surrounds us. This approach demands unflinching honesty, a willingness to look beyond the dictates of societal expectation and embrace the true yearnings of our hearts. It is a courageous act of simplification in a world that incessantly urges complication, a quiet insurrection against the overwhelming din. The initiation of this journey commences with a simple act of discernment, acknowledging the imperative for transformation and harboring a deep-seated aspiration for a life rich in significance. The cultivation of essential focus is an ongoing odyssey, a practice honed through the crucible of time. It begins with the deliberate carving out of moments for introspective contemplation, perhaps through the cadence of journaling or the profound stillness of quietude, to discern that which truly resonates with our most deeply held values. Then follows the conscious act of judicious selection. This entails the mastery of the word no to the myriad distractions and incessant demands that diverge from our core priorities. It necessitates a mindful engagement with the influx of information and social interactions, prioritizing substance over sheer volume. And crucially, it involves the courageous embrace of the disquiet that often accompanies the confrontation of uncomfortable truths, for it is within these challenging terrains that genuine insight and profound connection are most often forged. This path, though seldom facile, yields the most enduring rewards. Ultimately, what truly endures is not the ephemeral adulation of the multitude nor the accumulation of material wealth. It is the depth of our human connections, the unvarnished authenticity of our presence, and the tapestry of meaning we meticulously weave into the fabric of our days. A life imbued with essential focus bequeaths a legacy not of ostentatious pronouncements, but of quiet devotion to that which is genuine and immutable. It is a life that, in its unwavering integrity and inherent purpose, profoundly touches others and reverberates within the sanctuary of one's own soul. This realization is a precious endowment, an invitation to inhabit our existence not merely with greater duration, but with immeasurable depth,